After they had taken his corpse away, Ananya reached his table devastated and exhausted. Others were still mourning outside. Ananya was one of the few who had access to his study room and his study table. As she sat down in grief, a bright brown-colored antique diary caught her attention. She was quite familiar with all his belongings save this one. By the look of the diary, she could decipher it to be maintained for a long time, but she had no idea about it. The fact that she was unaware of this seemed somewhat unacceptable to her. After all, she was his closest friend. Or at least she always felt that way. She opened the diary and had a glance. The contents of the diary were more shocking to her than his death. Years ago, Ananya and Vinay were the closest of friends anyone could spot in the school. Dharmanagar being a small city meant most houses were within a walking distance. Ananya and Vinay, besides being classmates, were neighbors too. On most days the two of them would walk back home after class together. The closeness of the two raised a lot of eyebrows. Rumors of them being in a relationship spread like a forest fire. They were not surprised with those though. But both of them denied any truth in the rumors. They would laugh off the topic whenever someone asked them about being in a relationship. The rumors faded away when finally Ananya got along with Debayan. Ananya was among the most beautiful girls in the school. And quite naturally many people wanted to get along with her. But most of them thought Vinay was her boyfriend and would keep the idea of approaching her at bay. Debayan on the other hand established friendly relations with Vinay, and Vinay acted as a catalyst in the two getting into a relationship. Vinay on the other hand was among the most popular boys in the school. He was a brilliant orator, a good writer, an outstanding cricketer, an amazing painter, and probably the most unique feature of his included classical dancing. Ananya was an excellent singer, painter, and an outstanding classical dancer. It needs no rocket science to guess the two had given amazing dance performances together. Every romantic dance performance from the duo would add fuel to the rumor of them being in a relationship. Things might have been different from what it was, had the two been a little more expressive about their feelings for each other. Ananya loved Vinay even before Debayan came into picture. But she never managed to express her feelings towards him. Eventually, when she was proposed by Debayan, she waited for a few days being confused, and finally said yes after a long wait. While Vinay at that point had no idea of her feelings towards him, he was sure he had something for her. However, Vinay was quite popular in school as well owing to his cricket and poetry. A lot of girls were trying to approach him as well, but Ananya stood as their barrier. She would get jealous if anyone would go especially to cheer for him during his matches. With Ananya's relationship with Debayan, the invisible barriers in the way of the girls seemed to have perished. As Ananya started spending time with Debayan, other girls saw this as an opportunity to spend time with Vinay. Among them, Shruti was quite active and approached him the most. Even though he knew their intentions and will, he gave a negative response to most of their approaches. However, he was exceptionally polite to everyone even while rejecting their proposals. Ananya often pushed him into getting a relationship, even though she would get jealous of any girl getting close to Vinay. After their school life, they had to part ways for education. They shifted to different cities for their higher education. And quite naturally their communications became sparse. It was during their first year in college when Ananya eventually told Vinay that he was her first love before Debayan. Even though Vinay too had feelings for her, he never managed to gather up words to explain her. Whenever she asked him about his relationship, he would say he likes a girl in college and would describe her little by little. He chose his words for description so carefully that even Ananya would have to give utmost attention to the smallest details to get the fact that he was describing Ananya. She never understood that. Probably no one would have from the very little he described to her over the phone. After graduation, she took up a job in one of the PSUs while Vinay chose to pursue his career as a writer. By then he already had a few books published and was gaining popularity as a young budding writer. Every day he wrote a small description of the girl he liked. Every day he wrote a small description of Ananya. In a bright brown-colored antique diary. By the time they graduated, Ananya had broken up with Debayan, which never looked like getting better anytime soon. Ananya was transferred to the same city where Vinay was living after a few years of her joining the job. This came as a relief to her as she would spend time with him after her office work. An hour with him was the tonic to all her problems. She got jealous whenever Vinay explained something about the girl he loved. No matter how much she tried to hide her jealousy, Vinay would understand quite easily and often taunt her, saying that he would leave his girlfriend if she proposed him. Even though she wanted to go ahead, she waited for him to approach, and he had this notion that she was not into him and would reject him, ruining the friendship too. And thus their relationship stood still. In the meantime, a colleague of hers started getting close to her. And this was enough for Vinay to be sure that she was not into him. But Ananya was planning something different. She finally made up her mind to propose him on his birthday. But Almighty had other ideas. About a week before his birthday, he was driving back from a literary conference when his car met with an accident. A speeding truck from the opposite side ran over his car. When he was taken to the hospital, his situation was critical. He was kept in ICU for about 16 hours before he breathed his final breath. His demise was not just heartbreak for Ananya, his friends, and his family, but for the whole literature world. When Ananya discovered the diary he maintained, she went through the descriptions of the girl he would mention to her, in more detail. And this time around she had no problem in deciphering the girl to be herself. She hated herself for not understanding his feelings all through. She was gutted and devastated. She cursed herself for not expressing her feelings earlier. She kept blaming herself that only if she had mustered the courage to express her feelings to him beforehand, things might have ended up differently. 17 years have gone by since the day Ananya had lived the life as Vinay's widow. She adopted a child and has taken good care of him. She shifted with Vinay's parents. It's a fall time morning of the year. Winter has been stronger this time around than usual. Ananya's son, Suhang, gets up with sleepy eyes and lightens an incense stick in front of Vinay's photo. Just then, his mother's voice from the kitchen startles him and he quickly hurries towards starting his day.